poor circulation doesn't creep in slowly. For most people, it collapses. One year your legs feel fine, the next your feet are cold all the time, your calves cramp for no reason, and walking across the room suddenly feels risky. That's why fall risk after 60 doesn't just rise, it spikes. And almost no one explains why. Here's the part that should bother you. Most people are doing exactly what they're told. They drink more water, they take walks, they elevate their legs, some even start medications, yet their circulation keeps getting worse. But one specific drink can flip that decline around in hours, not weeks. You feel warmth coming back into your legs. The tingling eases. That heavy, dead feeling starts to lift. And the wild part, it's probably already in your kitchen. You're just using it wrong. Stick with me, because once you understand what's actually failing inside your legs, you'll see why all the expert advice hasn't worked. And why fixing this is far simpler than you've been led to believe. Let's strip this down to what really matters. After 60, your blood vessels don't just age, they change how they function. The inner lining of your arteries, called the endothelium, starts producing far less of a molecule your circulation depends on to survive. That molecule controls whether your arteries relax or stay clenched. When it drops, your blood vessels narrow, they stiffen. Blood slows down before it ever reaches your feet. Oxygen delivery falls, waste builds up, nerves start misfiring, muscles fatigue faster, balance suffers. This is why the first signs aren't dramatic. It starts with cold toes, then numbness, then cramps at night. Then that strange hesitation when you stand up, like your legs need a second to wake up. And here's the unsettling part. Long before you feel serious pain, tiny circulation failures are already stacking up. Blood struggles to move through narrowed pathways. Microscopic blockages become more likely. Healing slows down everywhere below the knee. This isn't about discomfort, it's about control. When circulation drops, your legs stop responding the way they used to. And once that happens, confidence disappears fast. But what really matters isn't that this happens, it's why. And that's where most advice completely misses the mark. You've probably heard the usual list. Take aspirin, walk more, elevate your legs, wear compression socks. And to be fair, none of those are useless. They help blood move around a problem. But they don't fix the problem itself. They don't restore what your blood vessels lost. Here's the issue. Circulation isn't just about movement, it's about signals. Your arteries need a chemical signal that tells them when to open wide and let blood rush through. Without that signal, all the walking in the world won't force stiff vessels to relax. So when doctors tell you circulation decline is just part of aging, what they're really saying is, your body stopped making something important. But they rarely tell you that this loss isn't permanent, it isn't damage, it isn't wear and tear. It's a shortage. And shortages can be corrected if you know what your body is missing, because once you restore that signal, your arteries don't need to be forced open, they want to open. Blood flow increases naturally, warmth returns, pressure drops, and your legs start behaving like they remember what to do. The real question is, what flips that signal back on? Because when you find the answer, everything about circulation changes, fast. Your circulation doesn't fail because your heart forgets how to pump. It fails because your blood vessels stop getting the signal to open. That signal is a tiny gas molecule your body makes on demand. When it's released, your arteries relax instantly. Blood moves faster, pressure drops, flow improves, especially in the legs, where circulation is already fighting gravity. The problem is, after 60, your body struggles to make enough of it on its own. But here's what almost nobody explains. Your body doesn't need to manufacture this signal from scratch. It can convert it from certain compounds found in food and drink. And when it does, the effect isn't subtle. Within minutes, vessels begin to widen. Within hours, blood flow increases. Not by a little, by margins you can actually feel. This isn't alternative medicine or folk wisdom, it's basic biochemistry. Certain natural compounds enter your system, get processed in stages, and trigger the exact reaction your arteries are starving for. Think of it like flipping a breaker. The wiring was always there. The power just wasn't flowing. Once it switches back on, circulation improves even before long-term healing begins. The heaviness in your legs eases. That tight, squeezed feeling loosens. Feet that always felt cold suddenly don't. But here's where people get misled. Just because a drink is healthy doesn't mean it flips this switch, and most of the drinks people rely on barely touch it. Let's get this out of the way. Water matters. Being dehydrated thickens your blood and slows everything down. So yes, drink water. But water doesn't widen arteries. It doesn't activate the signal your circulation depends on. It simply keeps you from getting worse. That's maintenance, not repair. Then there are the trendy options. Teas that promise heart health. Juices marketed as antioxidant miracles. Wellness drinks with fancy labels and big claims. Here's the truth. Most of them work slowly, if at all. Some rely on compounds that take months to show mild effects. Others are loaded with sugar, which temporarily hurts circulation before any benefit shows up. And some are just expensive flavored water with a health halo slapped on the bottle. This is why people get frustrated. They try one thing after another, feel nothing, and assume circulation loss is permanent. It's not. They were just using tools that weren't designed for the job. Because once you introduce drinks that actually supply the raw materials your body needs to reopen blood vessels, the difference is night and day. And the gap between the weakest options and the strongest ones is massive. That's where the ranking begins, starting with drinks that look helpful but barely move the needle. This is where things start improving, but not cleanly. Some drinks genuinely support circulation. They relax blood vessels a bit. They reduce stiffness. They help protect what little signaling power your arteries still have left. The problem is, they come with trade-offs most people don't realize until it's too late. Take dark cocoa drinks. Real cocoa contains compounds that encourage blood vessels to relax, and the effect shows up faster than most people expect. Within a couple of hours, some people notice warmer legs and less tingling. The catch? Almost everything sold as hot chocolate is loaded with sugar, which cancels out a big chunk of the benefit. You only get results if it's pure, unsweetened cocoa, and most people can't stand the taste without sweeteners. Then there are fruit-based options that get a lot of praise. Tart juices and deep red blends reduce inflammation in vessel walls, making arteries a little more flexible over time. They help, slowly, but they're sugar bombs. And for anyone dealing with insulin issues, that sugar can temporarily make circulation worse before it gets better. There's also the cost. These drinks aren't cheap, and the benefits only show up if you stay consistent for weeks. So, yes, this tier works better than the basics, but it's not efficient. You're paying more, waiting longer, and walking a tight line between benefit and setback, which brings us to the next level, where circulation starts changing fast. This is where the mechanism shifts. Instead of protecting circulation or gently nudging blood vessels, these drinks actively supply the compounds your body converts into that critical signal your arteries respond to. That's why the results feel different. Herbal infusions like hibiscus don't just support vessel health, they improve how blood vessels respond. Pressure drops, flow improves. People notice cramping easing and numbness fading within days, not months. It's one of the few options that's affordable, fast-acting, and easy to stick with. Then there's celery juice. It doesn't sound impressive, but it delivers something powerful. Natural compounds that your body rapidly converts into the signal that widens arteries. Within hours, blood flow can increase dramatically. Athletes have used this trick for years to improve performance, but it works just as well for older legs struggling to get enough blood. The downside, taste and effort. Celery juice isn't pleasant and it takes preparation, but if you can tolerate it, the circulation boost is undeniable. At this point, many people stop searching, their legs feel better, walking gets easier, warmth returns. But if you're aiming for the strongest, most reliable improvement possible, there's another tier above this, and the gap is bigger than most people expect. By this point, circulation has already improved for most people. Legs feel lighter, walking feels steadier. Cold feet aren't constant anymore. But there are two drinks that consistently outperform the rest, not by a small margin, but by a noticeable one. The first is built around leafy greens that most people overlook. Certain greens contain extremely high levels of natural compounds. Your body converts directly into the signal that tells arteries to open. When blended correctly, the effect compounds quickly. Within days, blood flow improves. Within weeks, endurance increases. Skin tone in the legs often changes visibly as oxygen delivery improves. People report fewer cramps, longer walking distance, and better balance. Not because muscles got stronger, but because blood finally reaches where it's needed. The only reason this option isn't used more often is practicality. It requires preparation, fresh ingredients, consistency. Miss too many days and the effect fades. Then there's the final drink. This one doesn't rely on gradual build-up. It doesn't need weeks before something happens. And it doesn't just support circulation, it forces arteries to respond. This is the drink that widens blood vessels rapidly, improves flow within hours, and keeps working when used consistently. And almost everyone has heard of it. Very few people use it correctly. This is where everything comes together. Beetroot juice isn't popular because it's trendy. It's popular because it works, reliably, measurably, and fast. Beets contain an unusually high concentration of natural compounds that your body converts into the exact signal your blood vessels respond to. Once consumed, the conversion begins almost immediately. Within a couple of hours, arteries relax, blood moves more freely, pressure drops, flow increases, especially to the legs. This isn't guesswork. It's been measured repeatedly using blood flow tests, pressure readings, and walking endurance studies. Older adults who use it daily show dramatic improvements in circulation, reduced stiffness in blood vessels, and better mobility in a matter of weeks. But here's the mistake most people make. They drink it at the wrong time, they mix it with food, or they buy versions loaded with unnecessary additives that dilute the effect. When beetroot juice is taken on an empty stomach, absorption improves dramatically. The conversion process works faster, and the circulation response is stronger. That's why some people try it once and feel nothing, while others feel warmth in their legs the same day. It isn't the drink that failed, it's how it was used. When done correctly, people notice changes quickly. The heavy feeling in the legs fades, nighttime cramping eases, walking feels smoother. Within a couple of weeks, endurance improves enough that daily movement stops feeling like a chore. And for many, this is the first time in years that their legs feel reliable again. This part matters more than people think. First, timing. These drinks work best away from meals. Food slows absorption and interferes with the conversion process. Waiting even 30 minutes makes a difference. Second, avoid killing the conversion process at the source. Certain oral products wipe out the bacteria your body relies on to complete the first step. Using them immediately before or after these drinks can quietly erase the benefit. Third, consistency beats intensity. One strong dose won't undo years of decline. Daily use retrains your blood vessels to respond again. Fourth, nothing here replaces medical care. These strategies support circulation, but medications should never be adjusted without professional guidance. And finally, purity matters. Processed versions filled with sugar and preservatives don't behave the same way in the body. Simple, clean ingredients win every time. When these rules are followed, results stack. Not overnight miracles, but real functional improvements that show up in daily life. Here's the truth most people never hear. Circulation decline isn't a mystery. It isn't bad luck. And it isn't inevitable. It's a supply problem. Your blood vessels didn't stop working because you aged. They stopped working because your modern diet stripped away the compounds they rely on to function properly. Decades ago, people consumed these compounds naturally through vegetables, roots, and leafy greens. Today, most diets are built around foods that provide calories, but none of the signals blood vessels need to stay flexible. So circulation collapses, balance suffers, mobility fades. And people are told it's just part of getting older. It isn't. When you restore what's missing, your body responds, often faster than expected. That's why so many people feel changes within days. That's why walking becomes easier. That's why warmth returns to the feet. That's why confidence slowly comes back. You're not fighting aging. You're correcting a deficiency. Commit to this consistently for a month. Pay attention to how your legs feel when you stand up. Notice how far you can walk without discomfort. Watch the color and temperature of your feet change. Those signals tell you the truth long before any test does. Your circulation isn't broken. It's been waiting for the right input.